Alongside the personal grief that all my family are feeling, we also share with so many of you in the United Kingdom.
When Camilla quietly moved Queen Elizabeth's jewelry into her family members' chambers, she had no idea King Charles would find out. And what he did next shook the entire monarchy to its core. Queen Elizabeth was a life well lived, a promise with destiny kept, and she is mourned most deeply in her passing. It all started on a Wednesday morning, May 4th. 2025. Queen Elizabeth II had just been laid to rest 3 years earlier in a state funeral that was watched by millions around the world. For many, that chapter of history had quietly closed. The mourning bands had been removed. The black crepe bunting folded away. And though grief still lingered in corners of the palace, the business of monarchy had resumed, almost by force. But behind the scenes, something had gone terribly wrong, something that had the power to change history as we know it. Stay with us till the end of this video because what happened next is something you don't want to miss. You see, as royal tradition demands, the personal belongings of the late queen, which included her jewelry, private papers, handwritten letters, and selected heirlooms, were to be secured under strict lock and key for a period of 99 to 100 years. Her possessions were held in trust as both historical and sovereign property. This archival period is enforced by the Royal Collection Trust and Palace Statute protecting the late monarch's legacy from public release or family claims at least until the rightful time. So from this the expected date to open Queen Elizabeth Eiffel Treasury had not yet arrived. I think it's wonderful work and I thank everybody for and all the others too who have been volunteering. In fact, it was decades away. And yet, on that quiet Wednesday morning, Donald Walton, the royal treasurer, appeared unannounced at Buckingham Palace with a troubling report. According to him, a whole lot of Her late Majesty's possessions were missing. Among them were the sapphire jubilee brooch that late Queen wore during her 65th year on the throne, the double-strand pearl necklace she wore at Princess Diana's funeral in 1997, and most disturbingly a pair of handwritten journals known only to a few, which she kept during the darkest days of the COVID-19 lockdown, including letters written to her heirs. By the time the report landed in front of Prince William and Princess Anne, the palace was no longer calm. This was not just a breach. It was a scandal in the making. The first move came swiftly. William and Anne summoned Mr. Donald Officer into a secure briefing chamber, the same one often used for wartime planning. And, seated upright and stern, wasted no time. "Mr. Walton," she said, folding her arms. "How long have these items been under your direct supervision?" "Since the last 2 years. "September, Your Royal Highness," Donald replied, clearly shaken. Everything was sealed and double-logged. Nothing had moved. William leaned forward. "Then how do you explain that 3 of the Queen's personal treasures are now missing?" Donald adjusted his cufflinks with trembling fingers. "Sir, I'm at a loss. I can only assume there has been a deliberate breach, but I swear to you on everything, I will do whatever it takes to find out who is responsible. This is an affront to all of us." It was a decent answer. But in Buckingham Palace, decency wasn't enough. When the news reached his private study, Charles rose slowly but deliberately from his leather armchair, shedding the blanket that had been draped across his knees. His face was pale, but there was steel in his voice. "This is no longer about trinkets," he said to his aide. "This is about my mother's legacy and mine." Hesimed Mr. Walton once more, "This to me is private quarters." "You will do what you must," Charles said quietly. "But understand this. Any attempt to hide, soften, or politicize this matter will be considered betrayal. Find who did this and fast." Donald bowed and left, visibly shaken by the situation. Still unsatisfied, Charles ordered approbate council. That evening, at exactly 4:00 p.m., 4 of them gathered in the royal war room. Prince William, Princess Anne, Prince Edward, and Queen Camilla. Only trusted staff were permitted within earshot, and even they were sworn to silence, and what happened in that meeting changed everything. Stay tuned, Charles began the meeting by briefing them. "The Queen's private possessions have been tampered with," he said flatly. "I want answers, not from the press, not from the court, from us. There was a long pause after he uttered those words. Camilla, who was seated to the king's right, broke the silence. Then perhaps we start with the treasury itself, she said smoothly. Have we considered the obvious, that Mr. Walton may have had help or motives? Are you suggesting he stole them? Edward asked, blinking. I'm saying we shouldn't rule it out, Camilla replied. These things didn't simply vanish. William nodded. She has a point. We can't ignore that angle. Maybe he wasn't alone. Charles tapped his fingers on the oak table. It won't take it from me, I don't think at that age. No, but I should be interested to hear how he got on that. You're asking me to interrogate the royal treasurer publicly? Anne's voice came sharp. Absolutely not. Not after what happened with Margaret Stafford in '89. A false accusation nearly destroyed his life. No one in the royal household would dare take so much as a pen. I agree, Edward added. We must tread carefully. If we accuse one of our own and it leaks, it will ignite another firestorm. The room fell into a tense silence. Finally, Charles nodded. It was clear that he had made a decision. We allow the Treasury to run its internal investigation quietly, but we conduct our own under royal authority. It will report directly to me, and no one outside this room will know. At exactly 5:00 p.m., Charles summoned Sir Clement Mallister, the Chief Royal Security Director, to his personal office. A man with decades of intelligence experience, Clement had served under both the Queen and the former Prime Minister during international crisis. Only 3 people were present: Clement, Charles, and Camilla. Charles stood beside the hearth, dressed simply in a navy cardigan and gray trousers. Camilla sat off to the side, silent but watchful. Clement, Charles said, we have a breach of the highest order, and we can't trust the usual chains of command. I'm appointing you to lead a private royal security probe. Full discretion. You will report only to me. He then narrated the full story to him. After that, Clement gave a crisp nod. Understood, Your Majesty. Timeline. Initial findings within 10 days. Full report in 30 seconds. And if I uncover uncomfortable truths? Clement asked. Charles's face hardened, then wefaced them, no matter who it implicates. By the following day, being Thursday, May 5, 2025, the story was everywhere. News outlets across the UK and beyond were flooded with headlines like Royal Heirlooms Missing, Palace in Crisis, Queen Elizabeth's Treasures Gone, Buckingham Mum, Where Are the Jewels and Who Took Them? And as usual, the internet did what it always does. It speculated. Conspiracy theories bloomed like spring weeds. Was it an inside job, a political distraction, or worse, a cover-up? People needed an answer. It gets so bad that in just one morning, Mr. Donald Walton had held 7 press briefings, each more desperate than the last. His tone grew defensive, then erratic, and then empty. Soon, the press stopped believing him altogether. Some even laughed him off. The man can't even secure a brooch. One headline sniped to stabilize the crumbling narrative. Applause, the royal family sent out Prince. He appeared calm, sharp. He stood before cameras outside Clarence House and offered a statement. The matter is under full investigation by internal and external royal authorities. The individual responsible will be identified and apprehended. The legacy of Her Majesty will be protected at all costs. He bowed. He left. No questions taken. But that wasn't what the public wanted. They didn't want dignity. They wanted names. However, behind palace walls, the pressure continued to grow. The 10-day timeline King Charles had set for preliminary findings was ticking down fast. 3 days had passed. Just 7 remained, and still no answers. Donald had gone through every page of the Treasury's entry logs and inventory, nothing irregular, nothing missing from the paperwork. Everything on paper looked perfect, except that it wasn't. Sir Clement Mallister, now carrying the weight of a crown on his shoulders, had interrogated every officer on the Royal Treasury floor, including Donald, including guards, clerks, and assistants. Everyone. But nothing stuck, nothing moved, no fingerprints, no breach alarm, no malfunction. The palace was airtight, and yet the jewels were gone. So who actually took the jewelry? Keep watching for more. It has been exactly 7 days since the investigation began. That evening, as the palace emptied for the night, Sir Clement remained behind in his glass-walled office at the back of the east wing. The sun was bleeding out through the windows. The light was low. He stared at case files again and again. Everything led to nothing. Just as Hugh was about to close up, he buzzed his team of 7. "Everyone meet me in the archive hall in 20 minutes, Clement said into the comms. "We're not going home until we have a damn lead." They gathered in a windowless basement under Buckingham Palace, a long concrete room lined with steel cabinets and security monitors. They went over every entry sheet, every duty log, and every shift report again. Nothing until 20:03 a.m. when it happened. A rookie by the name Donna was sitting cross-legged on the floor, her laptop balanced on her knees, whispering half to herself. "Wait, this doesn't line up." She leaned in, then stood. Then she ran. "Clement," she called. "You're going to want to see this." Everyone gathered as she pointed to a scanned log sheet. "Look at this guard's log entry. April 27, 2025. Heck locked in at 3:49 a.m., but his shift wasn't supposed to begin until 6 a.m. And there's no closing log, no follow-up, no remark, nothing." "Name?" Clement asked, suddenly wide awake. "R. Halton." "Robert Halton, has he been questioned?" "He was part of the first batch," another team member said, flipping through records. "But he said nothing unusual. Passed his security check. No flags." "Then we missed something," Clement muttered. "Wake everyone up." By 8 a.m. on Friday, May 12th, Clement had already called Donald Officer. "I need the full profile and contact file for Robert Halton." "Halton," Donald repeated. "Of course. Just give me a moment." 2 minutes later, Donald's voice returned over the line, calm but curious. "Yes, I've got him. Robert Halton, 10 years in service. Clean record." "Why?" "He's being summoned for questioning this morning, understood." "Should I notify him?" "No," Clement said. "I will." Later that morning, Halton was brought in under quiet orders. The room was bare. A single chair, one recorder. Clement and Donna sat across from him. "Robert," Clement began, "we've reviewed your entry logs. Tell us what happened on the morning of April 27th. You reported for duty nearly 2 hours early." Halton blinked. His eyes darted. He shifted in his seat. I was just early. I walked the halls, did my rounds." "Did you file a report?" "I forgot. I was tired, I guess." "You're saying you forgot protocol after 10 years of service?" Halton looked cornered. "We can suspend you," Donna added. "Strip your badge and even have you flagged on national security lists." Those words broke every form of resistance. Then he said the words that shocked everyone. "Keep watching to find out what happened next, okay?" "Okay," he said, voice cracking. "Listen, I didn't know what I was doing was wrong. I was told it was from the Crown. I swear on my wife's treatment. I will never have done it otherwise." Clement sat still cold. "You were told by whom?" "I don't know. I got a call. No name, just a voice. Said it was an urgent instruction from upstairs. Royal orders. You expect us to believe someone called you, told you to enter the treasury, and you just did it? They knew me name, my shift, my daughter's school. They offered money that was an auto pay for my wife's cancer treatment, and they said it was sanctioned." There was a long silence in the room. Then Donna asked the question no one dared to ask. "Did they mention a name, a title?" Halton paused, then swallowed hard, and they didn't give a name. "It was only the number, I swear." At that point, Clement leaned in, eyes narrowed. "Robert," he said firmly. "Can we see your call log from that day?" Robert nodded, pale and defeated. "Of course, it's all there. April 27th, 3:22 a.m. unknown number. That's when they called. Clement signaled Donna, who